Turn on.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Self-Publishing Insiders with Draft to Digital. Two of us have collared shirts, but one of us does not, and that would be Mark Leslie Lefebvre. And we're
But
also
I have
sitting
my
here
Oklahoma, the big friendly shirt on.
with the big friendly Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We're also sitting here with Dan Wood, very recognizable in his collared shirt. So, thanks for tuning in with us, guys.
What would be the Texas equivalent of that T-shirt? Would it be the big annoying or the big ego?
Oh, well, I'll go with ego. Texans have ego. We have a lot of ego, and
The
we
big
use
ego.
it.
Yeah, okay, there
The
you go.
big ego. Okay, so this is a very special episode of Self-Publishing Insiders. We're going to take a look at some of what's happening behind the scenes for the D2D and Smashwords merger. We know some of you have questions. We've already seen some questions in the comments, so make sure that you are posting your questions there because we can get to them either on air or we have some nice folks who are roaming around in the comments themselves who can help out if we miss something. So nice folks, say hello in the comments so everybody knows who you are. Now, first up, I don't even know really where to begin. I mean, there's so much happening behind the scenes. And Dan, you're the one who's going to know what's safe to talk about right now and what's not. Do you have like a kind of an opening overview of where we are and where things stand right now?
Well, as many people know, we've added a bunch of the different, I think now we've added everything, the places where Smashwords was already distributing books, the Draft to Digital wasn't. That was one of the things we had to get done. And so those are now available to all Draft to Digital authors and kind of lay the path for us to start merging accounts over off the Smashwords platform to the Draft to Digital platform. We are looking at, we should be able to start testing sometime in mid-August, merging the first few accounts over. We're doing that with internal accounts. So if we mess anything up, it's, stuff that's not going to hurt any authors. It's just people within our company. And then after that, if all that goes well, we're going to start moving people over in a limited fashion. We are looking at the simplest use cases. And so we kind of reduced it to, we're first going to be moving people that have never had a Draft to Digital account because we don't have to account for linking those accounts all up and making sure, with Draft to Digital, we've always supported multiple pen names on an account or multiple publishers. With Smashwords, they would have you open a separate account for each pen name. And so we're working on getting to those eventually, but up front, we're going to start with people that have just never had a Draft to Digital account before.
So that seems to cue up this question from Paul on YouTube. Says, if I have accounts with both D2D and Smashwords with same login credentials, is that all I need to prepare for my Smashwords titles to be migrated over to D2D? Going forward, should I only upload to D2D?
I would say yes and yes. For both of those, we're going to try to do the lion's share of the work on our end. And so you won't have to do a lot. We're making a migration wizard. So it should automate most of the process of getting your books over into your D2D account. For new authors, we have shut off, like Smashwords no longer accepts new authors. And so we're pushing people towards the Draft to Digital platform. Our hope is to eventually close down the distribution platform side of Smashwords and make Smashwords solely focused on the storefront. So that's kind of where we're going with everything. But for now, you would want to maintain and keep managing your titles that you've already published on Smashwords there. And then any new books, it's probably going to be better for you to publish them on Draft to Digital.
We also, man, we're getting into the questions really early now. Let's see. Well, this one also kind of fits. So RR is asking, what will happen to Smashwords already published books?
Yeah, we'll be moving those over to manage on the Draft to Digital platform. We've been working with all of the different retailers, subscription services, and library systems to make sure anything as far as your reviews stay, ranking, all that stuff. And so it'll all be behind the scenes to you. You shouldn't really see much of an impact other than you will be learning a new interface. But on the Draft to Digital side, you get a lot more options as far as payment. beyond PayPal, we have options to pay with direct deposit, both domestically for the US and internationally. We support Payoneer, we support a few other things. And then you'll also get some of our tools to help with like managing your catalog. Like we do automated in matter and things that the Smashwords platform was not doing. And so it'll be a little bit of learning curve for people. We know people don't necessarily love change, but you're going to get a lot of new extra tools, and you're going to get a lot of new sites that you haven't been able to distribute to before.
Yeah. And so when it comes to that, the titles, there won't be any problem for readers either, right? Like the readers who've already purchased something from Smashwords, the Smashwords store, there's not going to be a change for them.
Yeah, no impact whatsoever on readers. This is just a author and publisher facing change. For readers, it's still the same interface. They've grown used to any of the titles. Once you move over to the Draft Digital platform, we're delivering changes. So if you do like update your EPUB, we do deliver that to Smashwords, and readers can get the newest version if they want to.
Okay. So this question, I think, Mark, is one appropriate for you to answer. Paul Murdoch is asking, why do we have to wait a month to see if we've made any sales?
So the sales are reported. We get estimated sales daily for most of our major vendors, right? They come into the dashboard on a daily basis. We actually get sales reports from Smashwords multiple times a day. So within hours, you should see any of your Smashwords sales reported on the channel. The monthly reports are the finalized versions that we get from our partners when they come in. So most of the major retailers send a sales estimate on a daily basis. You will get the confirmed one after it clears through the proper accounting channels on a monthly basis. And then some of our library partners only send us sales on that monthly basis. So Paul, you're actually not having to wait a month to see at least your sales estimates. And I was excited. I'm in the Smashwords July sale right now. I can actually see within hours that I've got a Smashwords sale, which is kind of cool on the dashboard in the sales reports. And sales reports would, of course, be another area that Smashwords authors would have to relearn how to look at their sales, because it is quite different. And we'll probably be doing a webinar or something on how to look at your sales data. I think that would be a great refresher for D2D authors, and something awesome for folks coming over from the Smashwords side of things.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot more webinars coming up, covering a whole range of topics, especially this. So if you haven't already, make sure you're bookmarking d2dlive.com, because that's where we start to announce all this stuff. So, and we'll remind you of that again at the end of the show.
I did want to chime in real quick on this one. Keep in mind, especially for the library vendors and a lot of the international vendors that have been around a very long time, they built their systems around print. And with traditional publishing and with print, authors tend to not see their sales at all for at least, I think it's quarterly for some of them, and beyond that for many of them. So the whole supply chain was never built around the idea of daily sales reports or anything. Most of the newer players like Amazon, Apple Books, and Barnes & Noble will give you those estimates, but they are estimates. They're next day estimates. They don't take into account things like the conversion rate for international sales. They don't take into account returns, all of that. Like European laws and multiple other countries have laws around allowing returns. So all of that has to take place in the final numbers, but we do try to get you information as quick as we can. For the people that don't support like the daily estimates, we do bring it up nearly every year with them. Because having those numbers is great for advertising. It's essential to know how a book is performing if you are going to spend ad dollars trying to drive sales towards a platform.
So we have some comments I want to pop up. So the lady writes on YouTube, says, "You guys are doing wonderful things. We love hearing that. Thanks, lady writes." Ace Adams says, "I was confused as to whether to go with Gardeners. I already had Gardeners on Smashwords. Do we want to kind of elaborate on that a little?"
For any of the books that you're already distributing through Smashwords, you wouldn't want to go, because it'll just do well, we are working through the duplicates, but it just creates a little bit more work. For any new books that you have, if you publish like a book on Draft to Digital that's not on Smashwords, then going with Gardeners will be fine. And that is something we're reconciling across the board, because we know in the past there have been duplication, and so the merger really makes things better for everyone in the industry and make sure there's only a single definitive version of your book going to any of these different retailers and different platforms like Gardeners.
All right, so this is another comment I couldn't resist. Expedition Nomadic Adventures says, hello, everyone. Full-time RVer on the road in Iowa. Salute. You have already answered my question. D2D will be my account I will use. Thanks, guys. So glad to have you, Expedition Nomadic. So now here's a question. This one's a little more in-depth and detailed, but Smashwords customers in Thailand were caught out by changes in PayPal Thailand so that Smashwords could no longer pay them automatically. I have 1.5 years payments with them, which I can collect through Payoneer once the account is merged with our D2D account. When is that likely to happen?
Depending on what, I mentioned earlier that there are accounts are in different states of how complex they are for us to merge. So if you've never had a Draft to Digital account before, we'll probably start merging accounts within the next month or so. For the people that have a Draft Digital account, and we're accounting for having to merge or to combine accounts and figure out this account is owned by the same people, that'll be a little bit longer. We have high hopes of being through a majority of the merging process by the end of this year. So it's on the horizon, but I couldn't tell you specifically about your account. But yeah, Payoneer is one of the different options that you now have with Draft to Digital, and so that's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. Making international payments is hard. There's things such as like sanctions that happen to where all of a sudden, for instance, with the war in Ukraine, we went from being able to work with authors in Russia to suddenly not being able to make payments to them. You don't need to worry, like that money doesn't go away. Like it's there for a very long time with our company. And once things change, we can make those payments. After that, it goes to like US state governments, but you can still make claims on that once a payment is able to be made to wherever you might live.
Here's a good one. Mark, I think you can actually answer this one. Hope I didn't put you on the spot, but Charlotte on YouTube is asking, I will be supplying my own ISBNs for ebook and print. Can I also supply my own barcode for print books?
Yeah, so the print partner that we have requires very specific vector information on the barcode itself. And so we're doing that for you. We're supplying the barcode in that area. So what I recommend you do is, if you were used to supplying your barcode for other spots, just leave that space blank and we'll supply it, and it will match 100%. And we do a lot of machine automated validation to make sure that your print book can get authorized and up as quickly as possible. And that's one of the steps that we do. So for beginning authors who don't know how to do barcodes, etc., it's ideal for you. I understand for some authors who have been doing it for a long time, if you have you want to plead your case, I guess you could, but we would have to do some very manual tests on your provided files to make sure that they would be okay. But that would be an exception to the rule. Charlotte, what I do recommend you do is, spit out a cover with no barcode if that's a possibility for you. Or in a lot of cases, it's happened for me, is the covers that I've designed myself with the barcode on, it's in the exact same spot. So D2D will just override with its own barcode and it looks great. So that's sort of a answer to the question. But yeah, we want to provide it for you because we want to make sure that the print file does not get delayed, by getting approved by the systems, because we know it's coming from, vector approved sort of system on our end.
This is a great question from Nick Thacker. It says, on a scale of Mark to Dan, how much beard is enough beard? And I will say that if you go from Mark to me to Dan, it does sort of resemble the Chia Pet Bob Ross commercials. So
does that mean that Kevin is the right amount of beard?
You know, it's
he's
all
like the middle
personal.
child of beards, which explains a lot about his personality type.
I'm the interim beard. So Mark on YouTube asks, will this affect our current promotions for July on Smashwords?
No, people
I
can still
would.
buy your books. If you got them into the sale through the Smashwords store, you got them into the sale through the D2D store, your books will still be available for sale to Smashwords customers throughout the whole month of July. And good luck, Mark. I hope you're selling on however you're publishing them into the Smashwords store.
Yeah, I will say that those promotions have been very popular, and we've been refining a few things as we go, so that D2D authors got to participate in them, and now we're going to get better at that as well. So those are very exciting. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was about 30. It's been 30% bigger than last year. So that's awesome. I like somewhere around that number. What I want to say, there won't be any downtime for like your books being available for sale or anything. You'll also have a choice. Like, we're not going to migrate your books over without you doing something. Like, there's a wizard, and so it's a process. Like, when it's available for your account, you'll log in, you'll see the wizard, you can say, yeah, I want to begin this. But yeah, there'll be a little bit of downtime while we're moving the files as far as your ability to make updates or anything. But it should be a very minimal amount of time. But your books are going to remain on sale at all the different platforms and everything. So there's no downtime for readers trying to buy your book.
We got a question from Kenneth on YouTube. It says, my ebooks are on D2D. This is the D2D centric question. We've been focusing a lot on the Smashwords side, but how does this merger affect me as a D2D author?
Oh, I know. Access to great new tools like the coupon manager, which there will be a coming webinar. I think it's next Wednesday. You're going to learn about how to use that if you haven't taken advantage of it. But honestly, Kenneth, the only way it affects you is you're just going to have access to more distribution platforms and great tools like the coupon manager and stuff like that.
More places to sell and more ways to sell it. That's how it's going to impact you. Charlotte on YouTube says, do I need to register with Gardner's personally, trade agreement, or will I automatically be on Gardner's?
If you opt in to Gardner's through the Draft Digital platform, you automatically be on Gardner's.
Yeah. No need to sign any paper with them directly. We're taking care of all that with Gardner's.
And that's what we do for you on all of our sales partners, retail partners. There's no like additional paperwork or anything you have to worry about there. So this is an interesting question from Paul. Will Crave Books be affected at all with the merger?
I'm not familiar with Crave Books.
Neither am I. Mark?
Is that you talking about the sales platform? Crave?
That's what I know of it.
Didn't we have Carry On a few weeks ago to talk about Crave Books? No, I don't think it'll be affected at all because it's a platform where you can promote books, and Smashwords is still a link. It's still one of the stores, just like all the other major retailers are. So no, I don't think they'll be affected at all with the merger, except them being happy for us, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. And by the way, this is not Stump the Hosts, guys. You don't have to throw the curveball. So, okay, here's one. What about people who have two Smashwords accounts? Will both be able to get merged with the same D2D account? That's
yes.
An interesting question.
And for people in that scenario, and we know there are people that have even more than that just because of pen names, or if you are a small publisher, you will be towards the latter end of the merging process, but we are accounting for that and letting you link multiple. Like, our goal is to make all these multiple Smashwords accounts merge together into one Draft Digital account. There are a handful of reasons for people to have multiple Draft Digital accounts, but it's pretty rare. And highly discouraged.
Yeah, we do discourage that. I think that's actually against our terms of service, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, there are cases where people might own like two publishers. I mean, there are weird cases, but for the most part, you'll just have one account at Draft Digital.
And really, when in doubt, if you're worried about running afoul of the terms of service or something, you should definitely reach out to us and ask, and we can clarify things, because there are scenarios where something like that would be acceptable, but it is kind of rare. So Ace Adams has the inevitable erotica question in my mind, but some erotica defined books do make it to other sales channels via Smashwords, but not D2D. How will this be handled?
We're working through that with the sales channels. During the whole merge process, we found that some of the erotica that was being let through by Smashwords has excluded Smashwords titles from being where they're not being distributed everywhere. So that's a major thing, and it explains why, to some extent, even with the smaller catalog, drafted digital titles were outperforming sales wise because they just had a wider reach. We're trying to figure all that out, and we want to have a very upfront conversation with the erotica community once we have all those answers. We want to make sure to get erotic content everywhere it can go. I will say that overall, retailers and the different platforms have been getting more and more conservative. Since 2013 or 2012, things that used to be able to publish, many of them just don't want anymore. They don't always go back in and clean up content that's been in their catalog forever. But as part of that, they're like, oh, we want to clean this out. And, as we're doing the merger, we're trying to make sure as few books are taken down as possible. We're trying to make sure we support erotica as much as we can. And then there's always a Smashwords store where, anything that we can put up that is within like the legal guidelines, something we support with, erotica has a good home at Smashwords store.
Yeah, all that will still be available. And I've talked to a lot of authors who write in that category and are very excited about hearing that. There was some worry, but you need not worry. The lady writes, asks, excuse me, once this merger is done, will we be able to manage author pages on Smashwords? Also, will the store get a facelift?
Great questions.
Yeah, yes to both. I don't know how far out the managing author pages is, but it's something we are taking into account and want to be able to support. Store facelift is a long-term goal. Like it is something we definitely want to make the storefront look a lot more modern, and then improve discoverability. So those are things. I'm excited. Once we get through the merger, the existing Smashwords staff can focus on just making Smashwords a better store, and that I think we'll see a lot of improvement very quickly, since they're not having to maintain both a distribution platform and a storefront.
Yeah. This is a point actually being made by our own Alyssa, and I feel like it should be said out loud, but she says D2D is very careful with pen name separation. I don't want my author names to touch. Kind of like me and like everything on my plate.
To touch the potatoes,
What we're trying to say here is we're all neurotic and OCD at Drafted Digital. Okay, so lost my place here. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna say this. Pedal James asks, I'm new to the platform. I know about it I've known about it for some time now. With the transitions going on, should I wait till the process is complete?
Yes, I would recommend, if you're already managing your books on Smashwords, we'll handle all that for you. And so, out of the whole merger, we want to make it as little work as possible for authors and publishers.
Yeah.
But if you're already on Drafted Digital, just keep doing what you're doing. If you're already on Smashwords, keep doing what you're doing. We'll make it easier for you, as Dan said. If you create two accounts, like I have and Kevin has, where you have a D2D account and a Smashwords account, it's a little bit more complicated, but that'll just take us a little bit longer, right? As we work through that merging process.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's one from DR on YouTube. Hi there. Will our total sales numbers be merged? Thanks so much, guys.
We will be importing sales stuff. I'm not sure exactly at what level everything will be merged. It might look a little bit different. There's some differences in how we've both done reporting, but we will keep the historical data. We'll import that into the drafted digital system in some way, and then that data will be out there in case something gets missed or anything. We can still access the old reports.
All right. Next question from YouTube, we'll say. From YouTube. Having more than one account is such a pain, so I'm hyped for the merge. So more of a comment than a question, but we do appreciate that too. We're also pretty hyped for it.
We agree.
Yeah.
I think Kit had said in a previous comment that had scrolled by that they were recommended to have 2 separate accounts to protect different pen names, because that was the way to do it on Smashwords, and that was the way to do it. But now we have a way to protect your pen names through Drafted Digital. So glad that's going to work out well for you when we get through the merger, Kit.
That does explain that whole conversation. Yeah, that's a very good point. Like that's been something that's been built in almost from the start for us, is that we know how important it is to keep those things separated and siloed. There are plenty of people who write things that they don't want associated with one name or the other. So we have always looked out for you on that. Jan Smith asks, will the other pages on books to read and the other BTR benefits be affected?
So books to read is going to continue to operate the way it is, but we are looking at how we can look at the Smashwords store and look at improving the books to read experience. Are there things we could do together? So for example, if you have a books to read author page, can you push a button and make that your author page on Smashwords to save you retyping stuff in? We'll be looking at that post merger, but we will not be making any changes to books to read. I think, as Lexi said in the comments, any changes or additions or improvements, we will obviously be sending emails out and probably end up doing a Q&A with you guys once we roll those things out. But that's post merger. We got to get all your data together. We got to get your sales together. We want to get your accounts together first.
We do love our Q&As. All right, everybody, that's the questions I have right now. So if you've got a question, it's just burning a hole in your brain, make sure you drop it in. And as I speak, there's more coming in. So we'll take a look at those in a moment. But let me let's get a little more personal about this real quick. What are some of the things what were some of the challenges in this merger that we were able to kind of address and deal with as we were getting set up? Like, what are some of the things we faced and solved?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's probably the most imminent one we had to deal with was taxes. And if you think about how we work with authors all over the world, both companies do, and getting through tax season that first year after the merger was hellish. But we were able to do it. It went very well, went smoothly. So yeah, I know authors know how painful taxes are, and then imagine trying to account for different laws from different governments around the world. So that's been interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of places Smashwords went to that Drafted Digital didn't, and now we've kind of incorporated all those. There's a lot of places that Drafted Digital goes that Smashwords hasn't yet. And so we're excited to move more Smashwords authors over so they can take advantage of that, especially when it comes to things like our print on demand service and just making print very, very easy. There are some differences in how we've been reviewing content. We implemented on the Drafted Digital side the Eerotica certification system that the Smashwords built. So we're trying to get the way in which we review and handle Eerotica much more in line with the way they were, because they were very popular. Authors were liking that. We do have to manage that against the expectations of our partners and the ones of them that don't want to receive erotic content, and make sure that doesn't happen. But overall, it's made like our system a little bit more robust and a little bit more friendly on the Eerotica side. What else? Can you think of anything, Mark?
I think some of the things are some of the complexities. Like as an author who'd been with Smashwords from the early days, I have this weird combination of a book that's going to this platform from Smashwords and going to that platform from D2D. So it seems like a simple thing, but there's so many because we're all indie authors and we all do it our own way. And so I think one of the things we discovered during the merger is it's not just create an account and merge it over. Create an account, and then that's why, as Dan mentioned, there's going to be there's going to be a what would you call it, a wizard that's going to help you figure out what do you want. Do you want to keep the and I'm one of the guinea pigs right now working with the publisher operations team on testing some of that, taking a book that's never been on D2D but only been on Smashwords, and what happens when it moves over, taking a book that's on both platforms, what breaks. So there's a lot of additional work. I think the dev teams are just incredibly doing so much work. Publisher operations and the dev teams are doing so much work in the back end. It seems simple when you look at the surface, but when you get into the sausage factory, there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of things going on. So I just want to say huge kudos and in my appreciation as an author and as an employee at D2D, my appreciation for all those awesome people on our team.
I just want to say how disappointed I am that it's not a real wizard, by the way.
Or a magician.
We tried to hire Gandalf, but he was busy. I did want to say, like, we also, early on, we decided we wanted to get to make drafted digital books available to the Smashwords sales. And so that was a lot of effort to kind of make a minimum viable interface for that, to let drafted digital authors that were distributing the Smashwords do a discount to support the different sales. So that was a lot of work, but it also, we do consider it like not complete yet. It's something where, as we have more time, we will make it more robust and more resemble all the different options you can manage the big sales on Smashwords right now. And so you have a lot more granularity. Like right now, I think our system is basically, you tell us like a percentage to discount your entire catalog for that sale. But we will support it on like a book by book level and have a lot more ways to participate in the sales in the future.
Yeah. We have a question here from Heather on Facebook. This is strictly a D2D question about print. I have my books on Amazon created by KDP. So when I print them through D2D, I would like to exclude distribution to Amazon as I don't want two versions up there. When will you be able to accommodate this? And I think we already accommodate this, but anybody want to take this?
Not accommodate. What you're asking is
not necessary. Yeah.
No, it's just impossible. Unfortunately, you can't exclude channels in print. Like you put it up into the wholesale channel, and then companies can choose to pick it up or not. Amazon is pretty peculiar. For the most part, Amazon will show you the version of the book that they make the most money off of, which will be 99% of the time the version through Kindle Direct Print. Every once in a while, I don't know if it's a capacity thing or if it's a technical error on their side, they will show the other versions that are possible. But I think authors have gotten used to, with digital, there's this idea of you can opt into what channels you want to distribute to. With the print network, there's not. Like it's just, there's no one who can do that at all. It's kind of all or nothing.
But we should add that it's not even necessary to exclude that channel. You can in Amazon, one of the strategies we recommend is you can turn off Amazon's extended distribution or expanded distribution and allow us to do that part for you, and there's no conflict there. There's no exclusivity on print, so there's no problem with you having that book available from both Amazon and elsewhere. And in fact, it might benefit you to do it that way. Amazon, of course, is going to promote their book over everyone else, but they are not, we'll just say they're not beloved in the expanded distribution world. So sometimes there are retailers who simply will not take a book being distributed, a print book being distributed by Amazon. So if you want to reach everybody, this is a good strategy. Okay, Pedal James on Facebook asks, is there ads or marketing features on the platform that can be used?
Coupon manager, not ads. We're not going to charge you money for things. We don't do that.
I'll charge you money if you'd like to
No,
pay the money.
So marketing features, we offer free marketing opportunities for authors. You can email support@draftdigital.com. They'll send you a link where you can fill out a form. Megan, who works full-time on nothing but author promotions for you guys, that's her sole job, is finding promotional opportunities through our partners, through Apple, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, through Overdrive, through Hoopla, through a whole bunch of our partners. As well as obviously going to be more promotional opportunities in the Smashwords store. So that's free that we do for you, because when you sell more, that's how we make money. And also, again, I mentioned earlier the webinar that'll be coming up next week on Coupon Manager, so you can DIY and create some really awesome coupon codes for the Smashwords store. So, Pedal, there are marketing options and opportunities. There's Megan working hard to find you opportunities, and then you opt in to say, hey, I have books on, for example, Overdrive, and I write romance. So when there's a romance promo that's coming out on Overdrive, she'll email an invite to say, would you like to be considered? And I think just this week, I'm sure I saw Megan send out a back to school promo for Overdrive. Was sharing that out in the community. So check your spam folders just to see if you haven't gotten it that way. And again, we're constantly sending out invites to get in these special promos and features. But again, no charge to you.
Yeah. Okay. Charlotte asks, will my paperbacks be distributed to the India market?
I do not believe so. I don't think that our partner network reaches into the India market yet. They have a pretty robust used book market there, and so it's a hard market to crack for Western authors. But it is something that, if it becomes available, yes, and I mean it might be available. I don't think it is yet.
Okay. Here's a comment from Randall Wood saying, kudos to your dev team for pulling this off. And definitely, there's been a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes, and these guys, our team is amazing. So thank you for the kudos there, Randall. This is we're gonna skew the way that Lexi answered this question in the comments, but they ask what would be the top topic in Draft Digital, and Alexis addressed this as our top genre. So what would be our top genre at Draft Digital?
Romance by far.
By far.
Yeah.
And a traditional publisher, for being honest, romance pays the bills for most everything. Romance authors ruled the world. Their readers read so many books. It's an awesome community. They are better. They're so far ahead of most other genre communities as far as marketing. They've been from the very beginning making very personal connection to their readers. They've been doing all the stuff we tell people to do. They've been building email lists and letting their readers know what's going on. They participate in social media for the most part. But yeah, romance is really going to be the top genre. After that, it's like mysteries and thrillers, sci-fi. See,
I'm gonna write a romance, thriller, mystery, sci-fi story so that I can capture the entire list. And that, okay, so next question. This one's good. Can international authors on Smashwords who couldn't access their funds through PayPal get their funds through wire transfer now? I think we already answered this, actually. Will that option be available now to have merged?
We can't answer that for everyone because there are sanctions. It depends on your situation. If your country is sanctioned, or a country where we can't verify identity to the standards we have to for the U.S. government, then we won't be able to pay yet. If that ever changes, we have a lot more options for how we can make payments, but there are U.S. laws and regulations that we have to adhere to, and so we can't guarantee we can make payment to any particular country.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's the end of the questions for the moment. So if you got more, drop them in. We will definitely take care of you. So now, what are some things maybe if you are a Smashwords author and we're about to merge these two databases, are there things that you should do to prepare for this?
Not so much. There's not a lot that you need to worry about. Always. I mean, I recommend following this channel.
Yeah.
You're going to learn more about it if you're paying attention. But yeah, I'm preaching to the choir since everyone here is already following this channel and listening to this podcast and stuff. But no, I like our intent is really to make it very little work on you and most of the work be on us. Same thing for with our partners on retail and subscription services and libraries. We're trying to make it as easy on them as possible. When it's all said and done, it's going to make a lot less work for everyone involved. It'll be less work for authors. It'll be less work for the retailers. Um, we know just from looking internally that there's been a lot of duplication where two versions of the book end up because people just don't realize sometimes that Smashwords was opt out by default, and so if they added a new channel, they were sending your new book no matter what, unless you logged in and told them not to send your book to a channel.
Yeah.
So we know that's the case. But yeah, just kind of take that time and write more books.
I would recommend anyone who's not, if you're worried you've never been on Draft2Digital, go to youtube.com/draft2digital. There's some great videos from our colleague. Hang on, there he is, Kevin. With great voice, etc., doing some really in-depth walkthroughs of the various processes, like automated end matter and all the features that you may not be familiar with. So if you are nervous or worried, highly recommend checking out those videos. Again, I'm a visual guy, so that's how I love to learn. And so those videos were a godsend for me.
YouTube University. That's how we refer to that. Okay, so we're getting close to wrapping up. Okay, here's a question from Ace Adams that just popped up. So I like this question. So will this merger make D2D a greater powerhouse to deal with Amazon?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I mean, it's already given us a lot more bargaining power. We've had a number of new opportunities come out of it. Just having a bigger catalog of books gives us a lot. I mean, in the way that like Amazon and Ingram are big and can make changes to the industry. We've already seen Ingram Spark respond to our print on demand program with dropping their setup fees, which we see as a very positive change for everyone in the industry. We want to get more books out there in more formats. And so, yes, the merger has enabled a lot of opportunities that either company probably wouldn't have got on its own.
So as we wrap up, and we'll play a little ad spot here in a second, but as we wrap up, I'd like to hear what you guys think of as being the biggest perk coming out of this merger. Like, what is it that you personally are most excited about? Mark, let's start with you. You haven't talked.
So as an author who has been, like, when I first started publishing, the only two options were Kindle Direct Publishing and Smashwords. And then as new opportunities grew, I created some direct accounts. I created a Draft2Digital account, and I've been managing books through multiple places. One of the things I'm really excited about is one less platform to have to log into and look at. I mean, so it's easier. And the other thing is, I love that we're taking the best of both Smashwords and Draft2Digital and reincorporating that, so I can make the highest margin possible on the Smashwords store just by pushing a button from my Draft2Digital account, creating coupon codes, all those things. I mean, I'm so thrilled about that. It's just going to simplify it for me as an author.
How about you, Dan?
I'm excited to have coupon codes finally. Like 10 years ago, someone promised on our Facebook page that we'd be getting coupon codes soon. And I've been hearing questions about that for a decade, and we never built them into Draft2Digital. So we finally got them through acquisition. So
don't we need a storefront to do that?
We have a storefront. I'm excited. The Smashwords store just paying out the highest royalties on the market is awesome. With you being able to get somewhere, up to like 80 something percent, rather than 70 or less is incredible. Um, I'm excited for the Smashwords authors to get all the different tools that Draft Digital made, because we were so focused on distribution. We just built a lot of quality of life features for managing large catalogs, and there's a lot of people on Smashwords that have large catalogs, and so I think they're going to be delighted by that. Excited to give people more options than PayPal, because PayPal, quite frankly, is a horrible way to receive payments as an author. They take extra time processing, especially around like banking holidays. The people that are using us for direct deposit are getting paid at least a day before people using PayPal, and in some cases 5 to 7 days, depending on if payments are made around banking holidays or a weekend. So there's so many advantages to people having those options. It's really good, and just expanding all of our different partners are really excited. Like Kobo was really excited when we finally were able to bring the Smashwords content to the Kobo Plus program, and huge impact on sales. Like that brought Kobo up quite a bit, and we got the numbers this last month. It means more sales for Smashwords authors. It's good for Draft Digital. It's good for Kobo Plus, and so all the subscription services are wanting more content. All the library partners are wanting more content, and we've got more content to give them. And so they're all looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I think that's going to have to wrap us up. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys for being our Sherpas on this little journey. Now, make sure that you are bookmarking d2dlive.com so that you know when we do these live shows. We have live webinars that happen on usually we're trying to aim for like the second to last Wednesday of the month, but sometimes we move them. So we got one coming up next Wednesday that you're definitely going to want to tune in for. So make sure you go to d2dlive.com to see a link for that, where you can RSVP and show up and ask us even more questions in the comments. So that's going to wrap us up for this episode. Thank you again for tuning in. And now, a little word from our sponsor. Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftedigital.com.